A2X. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NURUL AZIMAH binti ASRI. I am from the A2X08E, and in this video, I will present a profound shift in the Malaysian economic landscape, one that moved beyond simple numbers and touched the very core of our social contract, which is a government intervention in Malaysia's subsidy system, specifically focusing on how we are addressing market distortion to safeguard consumer welfare. So, for decades, Malaysia has relied on blanket subsidy as a primary tool for social stability. It was our way of ensuring that the cost of living remained manageable for everyone. However, as our economy matures, we must acknowledge that this broad-based approach has become a double-edged sword. It is no longer just a matter of high cost, it is a matter of equity, and it is all from and our subsidy system was regressive, meaning that the wealthiest individuals who naturally consume more were receiving the lion's share of government's aid. Today, we will explore why Malaysia is choosing the path of subsidy rationalization to build a fairer and more resilient future for every citizen. So to truly understand the urgency of this reform, we have to look at the staggering scale of our expenditure. In 2022, the government subsidy bill ballooned to over 80 billion ringgit Malaysia, which represent about 3.12% of our entire gross domestic product. When we keep price like around 95, fuel artificially low for everyone, we inadvertently create massive market distortion. One of the most damaging side effects is the phenomenon of leakage. Because our fuel is among the cheapest in the region, we have spent years unintentionally subsidizing international smuggling, syndicate, and foreign vehicle crossing our borders. Furthermore, low prices remove the incentive for energy efficiency, leading to overconsumption and environmental waste. And essentially, we have been using Malaysian taxpayer money to fund illegal activities and to pay the pockets of high-income earners and large corporations. By maintaining a massive price gap with our neighbors, we were not just helping our citizens, we're creating a black market magnet that drained our national wealth. So, what is the government strategy to fix this? Under the Madani framework, the administration is moving away from one-size-fits-all model toward a system of surgical precision. This intervention is powered by PADU, which is our central database hub, which serves as the technological brain of the reform. Unlike the previous system that looked only at basic salary, PADU allows the government to understand a household through disposable income and cost of living. So we have already seen the success of this targeted approach with the floating of the sale price and implementation of the Budi Madani program. Beyond fuel, the government has also intervened in the electricity sector by implementing a tier tariff system where the top 15% of high consumers pay market rates, while the majority of households remain protected. So we even saw a bold move in the agriculture sector when price control on chicken and eggs were lifted. So this allowed the market to stabilize supply and actually led to more consistent pricing and availability, proving that strategic deregulation can often benefit the consumer more than rigid price caps. Next, moving on to the next slide, a vital question remains: how do we protect the vulnerable during this transition? The answer lies in the shift from product subsidies to people subsidies. So the government is now placing cash directly into the hands of those who need it most through programs like Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah, OSTR, and SARA. In 2025, the allocation for these programs reached a record 13 billion ringgit Malaysia, benefiting nearly 9 million Malaysians. And for a low-income family, this direct aid can reach up to 3,700 annually, providing a much more effective safety net that cheap petrol ever could. Furthermore, the SARA program utilizes a clever cashless system linked to the MyCard, allowing the hardcore poor to purchase essential grocery at over 8,000 stores nationwide. So this is supported by the Payung Rahmah initiative, which keep the cost of basic good low through community sales. By focusing on the individual rather than the item, the Madani framework ensures that even as market price fluctuate, the basic dignity and purchasing power of the B40 and M40 groups are vigorously defended. Next. The most exciting part of this reform is what we call the fiscal dividend. By reducing the heavy burden of blanket subsidies, the government can finally redirect those billions of ringgit into high impact area that build our nation's future. In the 2025 budget, we saw the fruits of this reallocation with record-breaking investment in education and healthcare. We are now spending 64.1 billion on education, focusing on TVET and vocational training to prepare our youth for high value industry like AI and green energy. In healthcare, an allocation of over 45 billion ringgit Malaysia is being used to upgrade hundreds of rural clinics and build specialized medical centers in underserved region. And instead of running our well in car engine, we are investing in the health of our elderly and the education of our children. This fiscal discipline is also crucial for reducing our national debt and stabilizing the ringgit. Which make Malaysia a much more attractive destination for the global investment that drive our long prosperity. Next, moving on to the next slide. Of course, we must be honest about the challenges that come with such a massive change. So the transition to the targeted subsidies is not without its growing pains. We must carefully manage the middle class squeeze, where those just above the 8 threshold feel the pressure of rising costs. There is also the persistent risks of inflationary psychological, where business might unfairly raise price under the guise of higher fuel costs. So to combat this, the government must remain vigilant with enforcement and ensure that the PADU database is constantly updated to prevent vigilant with enforcement and prevent anyone from failing through the cracks. So the success of this reform ultimately depends on transparency and trust. So the public must be able to see a clear link between the removal of a subsidy and the improvement of their local school or hospital. So if the government can maintain this efficiency and clearly communicate the benefit of the fiscal dividend, we can overcome the psychological barrier to reform and move toward a more mature economy. So, in conclusion, Malaysia's journey from blanket subsidy to a targeted data-driven system is much more than a budgetary adjustment. It is a fundamental maturation of our nation. We are choosing to move away from a wasteful and regressive past and toward a future defined by equity, efficiency, and resilience. So while the road of rationalization may be challenging in the short term, it is the only viable path to ensuring a high quality of the life of all Malaysians. By fixing the market distortion of today, we are securing a more prosperous, healthy, and educated Malaysia for tomorrow. We are no longer just subsidizing survival, and we are investing in our success. Thank you very much for your time and your attention.